to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
I've got some great news for Football Nation Radio listeners. Our supportive partner, Northern Motor Group, is offering $250 off any in-stock vehicle this end of financial year. That's if you take delivery before the 30th of June. With 8 big car brands, MG, Nissan, Kia, Isuzu Ute, Jeep, Ram, Samsung, Peugeot and Pacific Caravans, it's literally a one-stop shop for all your driving needs. Plus, with over 150 quality pre-owned vehicles, Northern Motor Group really does have your next vehicle purchase ready and waiting. Don't wait. Visit www.northernmotorgroup.com.au today. They're in Grimshaw Street, Bundoora, and tell them George sent you. LMCT 6595.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. Hello, welcome to State of Our Football Nation. George Denikin, and alongside me running the controls and manning the ship, the FNR ship, the Football Nation radio ship, is Pokuah Frimpong. And about to join us, in fact, she's in the ether. I can feel her just about to join us. An old colleague from my SBS days, the very beautiful, the very talented Liz Deep-Jones. Liz, welcome to
Hi, George.
Welcome to the Football Nation radio space, and via Twitter and via Zoom, we've been able to connect and tell some stories over the last few weeks in readiness for this, because I've been waiting for you to send me a beautiful parcel and it's arrived. And can I just say, for those of you at home or wherever you are watching us, on whatever device, look at those two books, two magnificent tomes that have arrived via Australia Post, which is still working, by the way, for all of you wondering. Does it still provide a service, Pokuah? Yes.
Yes, it does.
It does, and they are two handsome books. And, you know, ideal for Christmas, super ideal for just before the Women's World Cup. Liz Deep-Jones, what got into you? I've always known that there's a wonderfully creative part that's made you you, but for goodness sake, you've exceeded all expectation. And can I just add, before you jump in, I love the fact that in one book you've made a wonderful dedication to two very special people, Mum and Dad, for providing the atmosphere, providing the home, and giving you the nourishment to dream and to aspire to be anything you want to be. And bless you, Mother, to your children for inspiring you for the next book. It was Isabella, who currently is in France on a secret assignment, and your son's name is
Dylan.
And Dylan, I believe, is also on an assignment to catch up with his sister sometime in Greece.
Yes, that's right. That's right, George. Lucky them. Lucky them.
What are you doing being left behind? Oh, of course, you've got to make sure that they are given the sort of support that they need to help me here, Pokuah. When you're on holiday, you need two ingredients, don't you?
Yeah. You
need good tickets.
Yeah.
And you need a good bank account, don't you?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And look, Mum has just winced. She knows what that means. Listen, you have had a most fantastic last few months and in the last couple of years. You're a producer, you're a writer. There are so many strings to your bow. I don't know where we start. Liz Zeezou, where do we start?
I really don't know. Look, first of all, George, I just want to thank you for this great honour. I mean, you are a media legend.
Oh, stop that.
Absolutely adore you. I'm so thrilled, to be on your show. It's a great honour for me. And I think, really for me, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, really. But I just follow what I love doing. I follow my passion, and my passion is people and making a difference. And I just try and live by that. And whatever, makes me get up in the morning, that gives me that fire in the belly, that's what I pursue. So for me, the books, the young football books are really about, my passion about inspiring young people to follow their dreams and to work hard, play hard, but also to believe in themselves that they can achieve anything they want in their lives. And I believe that because I've achieved, everything that I've set out to in my life. I've been very fortunate.
No. Don't say you've been very, very fortunate. You've worked for everything you've managed to put together. You and your husband have done a wonderful job with Dylan and with Isabella. And more importantly, you've set the framework, and I put it to you also, you've given them the desire to keep fighting, to keep learning, and to not stop at just one thing, but to aspire to do other things. And your daughter has decided, she's gone off there and created an exhibition that should make you feel very, very proud. It's currently doing the rounds. Is it still in Wallara Library, or is it currently doing the rounds around the country?
Yes, it is. It's so my daughter works with me on the exhibition. So she's our production manager and youth creator, if you like. And so I started the exhibition to combat racism. It's something I've been wanting to do ever since, as a journalist and working at SBS Television. And
have you spoken to FIFA? Because your messaging is key.
Yeah, if you have a line to FIFA, I'd love any assistance.
Hey,
I'd love to get it to FIFA.
Can I just tell you, I've looked at not only the dedication, but some of the fabulous testimonials. And wait till I run this past Pokuah, because she hasn't seen it yet. There are a number of testimonials in the books. One from Paolo Maldini, former AC Milan and national team Italy. What do you think?
Yes.
Pokuah, by the way, I should explain to you, Liz. Pokuah is a young Australian of Ghanaian heritage, arrived in this country about 10 years old.
Oh, my God.
She has this... Go on. Go on.
My nephew and niece are half Ghanaian.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Well, you know what you've done now, don't you? You've just made her give you more time and energy because she's family, extended family.
It is family.
No, Ghana's it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, let me just tell you, the family continues. Down here it says Diana Alagich, I remember as a Matilda.
Yes.
Claire Hunt, another Matilda.
Yes. Going to the World Cup.
There's a young Melissa Barbieri, a good Melbourne City girl. Former Matilda's captain. Oh, she's a great girl.
It's amazing.
You've also managed to bend Craig Foster's arm.
Yes.
And he says,
your old friend.
But the one that really captivated me, because he knows women's football. and I'm talking about Tom Samani.
Tom's incredible.
Tom
and I
go
way back. So Tom and I mean, right from, as you know, at SBS, we were the only broadcasters reporting on the Matildas games, and I'd be there out on the pitch for their friendlies, for their warm-ups, for everything. And we were the only television station there.
So you're telling me you didn't require an all-access pass, you were the only access.
Well, look, Tom even put me on the bench at the SFS for their Canada friendly.
Oh, goodness. How's that, Pokuah?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get to run out onto the pitch because I didn't have my football boots. I was in heels, unfortunately, which was stupid. But he gave me that access, and also I was able to go into the dressing rooms with the Matildas players, beforehand, halftime, and it was really fascinating, to be so close, to the action and to be a part of that and see the way. How professional, I'm not saying even back then, but back then, as you know, the players could only basically part-time because they had to work, some of them 2-3 jobs, and then also they were expected to play at a professional level, which they still did, but it was, they had to make a lot of sacrifices. And, the captain, Cheryl Salisbury, she was a phenomenal force. And just seeing her close up as the captain, especially at that game, Matildas against Canada, it was really great insight into, her approach, the hunger, and what she demanded from the rest of the team. She really pushed them and expected, the best and more. So, I feel really privileged that Tom gave me those opportunities, and as I said, he's our longest lasting Matildas coach. I mean, he was there for 12 years, and he really blooded a lot of the younger players, and Sam Kerr is one of them. He gave them, those opportunities to especially his very young players, blooding them, giving them the experience. In big games as well. I was there for, I think, Kaya Simon's first game, actually. I think it was the game.
She's back.
Against Canada.
She's back.
Explosive. Yeah,
she's back.
Pokuah
asked me, the first question she asked me, is she Ghanaian? I said, no. She's first Australian.
Yeah, she's a First Nations lady. Kaya is an amazing player, very explosive. She's endured a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
but
absolutely right.
So tough. Her mental capacity is incredible because she's coming back from, I think it was a torn ligaments in the knee.
Yeah, the ACL.
She had ACL. She's had quite a few injuries, but she always comes back. And look, she's an experienced player. She knows she scores goals. I mean, she really is amazing up front and very explosive. So I'm so happy for her that that Tony Gustafsson has included her in that lineup because she has been out for a while. But I'm excited for Claire Hunt. I met Claire just about over a month ago when I gave her my Lucy Zeezou book to see if she would endorse them, and that was through Tom Samani. Tom knows her through Western Sydney. She plays with the Western Sydney Wanderers with the women's team there.
Yep.
And she came out to meet me in my local hood, if you like, and we just got along like a house on fire. She is a phenomenal young lady. She's a country girl, very down to earth, very earthy, very disciplined, and she's a real team player. So I'm really excited for her. It's her debut in a World Cup. And I'm really interested, to see how she goes. I think she'll be incredible. She's a big force at the back with Claire Polkinghorne.
Yeah, no, I love Claire Hunt's game. She's one of my favourite players to watch in the A-League Women's last season.
I should add, Pokuah has been doing a lot of commentary for Paramount Plus. For the APL, so she's no young Ghanaian lightweight. She is serious talent. And can I just tell you? And there's only one little bugbear that sort of grates with me occasionally, Liz. And humour me here for a moment.
Yeah,
she's a huge Arsenal girl. It's a bit like Steph Catley. And I love Steph because she's a Melbourne City girl. But when she went to the dark side, the Gunners, I sort of, I'm a Spurs man. I'm a Kaya Simon man, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I look at Pokuah and we have to behave in the studio.
No, always
Is
ask
there a
me.
line?
No.
The lines.
But when she says to you she loves Claire Hunt, she's not kidding. She loves her football, and she's a really good, as they say, inquiring mind. She watches. She loves people with talent. She loves people with a great work ethic, and she also likes people who dare. Which kind of confuses me, because I thought only Spurs were the ones who dared. But
No.
there you go.
No, see, just,
Come on, Pokuah, ask her another question.
I was going to ask.
Ange back at Ange at Spurs. That's an exciting.
Correct.
Look,
Correct weight.
A great time for Australian football, isn't it incredible?
No,
Hey, excuse me, it's not just Ange. It's Scott Munn. It's Miller Yetnak with that beard.
Yep.
I saw him I saw him on the screen. On the pitch today training with Indombele, and I'm going, what would he be saying to Tungi? Get off your bottom, kid, and play. Yeah, no. Pokuah's got a question. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you. No, Liz, you're okay. I was going to ask you, how do you come up with the idea of writing a book and when creating the world around, a character? How does that come about for you?
Oh, okay.
Where's the inspiration come from? I should have said SBS.
Yeah, well, actually, it has a lot to do with SBS. I was, I think, one of the first female journalists in the SBS sport department. And I do have to say, I mean, luckily I love the company of men. I'm a daddy's girl, and I used to spend a lot of time, with my father. He used to take me and he was a sports nut. He used to take me to all the sporting events with him, to the Randwick races before it was trendy, and I'd be one of the only,
always trendy. Royal Randwick.
Yeah, in the good old days.
Excuse us, we're talking to Liz Zeezou on Football Nation Radio, State of Our Football Nation. We're talking to Liz about two fabulous new books, and she's just giving us a heads up as to how all of this inspiration, where it came from. And we're talking. What was Dad's name, or what is Dad's name?
David. My dad was David Deep.
David,
an incredible man. He was one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. I mean,
is that your mother whispering in your ear telling you he was one of the most charismatic men?
My beautiful mum, Jeanette. So mum and dad came from Lebanon. They came out here with basically nothing, and they built up an extraordinary business. We had a mixed business, and they just, they built a life for us, that was very comfortable, very exciting, and they backed us. Whatever we put our minds to, whatever it was that we pursued, they would support us. So, we were very fortunate that we had that foundation. But in regards to my inspiration for the book, with my work at SBS and on the football programs, yes, I do love football and I love watching it. And I think a lot of my ideas, came from, reporting on the Matildas and the Socceroos. But also I was approached by a colleague who started working in publishing, and she said, "Oh, do you have an idea for a girls' football book?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I've always got ideas. I've got plenty of ideas." And she said, "Well, can you send me a pitch?" So I just whipped something up very quickly, and it was all those experiences at SBS and all the reporting and everything on the game, on the Matildas and so forth, and my own personal experiences. And whipped up an idea. Sent it to the publishers, and they just loved it. And I'd never written a book before, so when I got the contract, I said to them, "Well, how many words, or how do I go about this? What do you need?" And they said, 40 to 60,000 words. You just take your time, put it together, and send us a draft. And I thought, okay. I was so overwhelmed. I thought, how the hell am I going to come up with that? And can I tell you, it was so easy. I was so obsessed, so passionate. And my character is built from, so many different life experiences and people that I know. My daughter.
So you're telling us that Lucy Zeezou is a composite of about 50 women and people you've known,
yes.
huh?
Yes, a lot of different people, and the experiences that she has. But I became so obsessed with her that there's one stage in the book where she actually is kidnapped, and I was so upset and overwhelmed. I started crying, and I called my husband and I said, Derek, oh my God, Derek, and I'm bawling my eyes out. He said, what happened? What's wrong? I said, you won't believe this. Lucy's been kidnapped. And he just said, what the blah, 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 blah.
So you were so immersed in your storytelling.
I was so immersed.
You got her trapped and kidnapped.
Yes, she was kidnapped. And he said, what's wrong with you? He said, you need to be in a straitjacket. And I said, oh my God. And he said, just change the narrative. And I said, I can't.
Can't.
It's meant to be.
Wow.
It's meant to be. Anyway, so that's how engrossed you become in the character, and the character leads you. And for Lucy's very strong-minded, very strong-willed. I wanted her to be a character that
People
shows
could love.
young people.
People could love.
Pardon?
Yeah, a character that people could love.
That people could love, but also she's her own person. You know, she's not the kind of person that's there to please other people. She's there to, she's kind, but she's a young girl that knows what she wants. She's comfortable in her skin. She loves her food. She comes from a very rich background, but for her, that's the thing about Lucy. Her father is the captain of AC Milan, loosely based on Paolo Maldini.
I would never have guessed, because he says in the book, you can't help but love Lucy. It's an imaginative, exciting story. If he only knew that you'd rung Derek, in tears, he would have taken it to another level in the testimonial. But it is a fabulous look. When I opened the book, and I've got to say, they arrived only yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to read them through. But when you hear from Melissa Barbieri, who says it's not only a great book to read, but it shows you that you can achieve your dreams no matter what. So aspirationally, this is the sort of tome. This is the sort of book that you if you pick it up, you can't put it down. As Maldini and others have said, it's fantastic. And, we're on the cusp of something truly historic. We have a Women's World Cup days away now. Next week I'm going to Marvel. And it'll be the first time I've been to Marvel in years because I hate the stadium. But I'm only going to support the Matildas playing France in the send-off game. And it's already, Liz, understand this, it's already set a new record for attendance without the game being played, because it's almost a sellout. So in excess of 40,000 tickets. So already we've set records, right? Just think about it. And as Pokuah and I have discussed before, only a week later they'll be playing Ireland, and it'll be 90,000. So another record. And the Australian media and the New Zealand media are only just starting to grasp that the world has decided that it needs to come down under. And the reason is because we're going to have 32 teams coming down to contest and claim the next World Cup. And this comes barely a year after the Lionesses wowed the world, especially those people at Wembley and everyone watching, with an exhilarating performance that not only knocked over the ratings card, but reminded people that remember all those naysayers, Liz, and you'd remember, women's sport. Yeah, we love our football, but women's sport, it doesn't really hold my interest.
People used to laugh at me. They used to laugh.
No one's laughing, Lucy. Sorry, Lucy's mum. Sorry, Lucy's mum. Liz, no one's laughing.
No, they're not. They're not now. But you know what? I think, having experience, and you would know this, George, when I covered the France 98 World Cup, the Men's World Cup in Paris, it's
what
the
a
biggest
time.
sporting event on the planet. It's bigger than the Olympics. More people play football than any other sport around the world. It is the world game. And to host the World Cup in our country is a phenomenal achievement. And it's so exciting because once people, get a taste of it, like the whole atmosphere is going to be incredible. People will be dancing on the streets. There are so many events planned all around the city, all around the games. And even when you get to games, I remember in Paris, the Brazilian fans would be at games 3 or 4 hours before the game kicked off.
Yeah, they've got to warm up.
With their drums and dancing and singing. And it is just an incredible experience and incredible to be a part of that. I can't wait for people in Australia to experience this.
Liz Zeezou is our guest on Football Nation Radio's State of Our Football Nation, George Danikian and Pokuah Frimpong. Liz, I want you to just remind or tell Pokuah what the Champs-Élysées around the Arc de Triomphe was like throughout that tournament, when all you could see was a sea of people in colours that covered the globe. You had everybody's shirt, didn't you, from all over the world?
Yeah.
And it was party. It was party central, was it not?
Every night.
Think about that, Pokuah.
Sounds like a good time.
Whoa.
It was wild. You know what? I had to
Tell the truth. Go on, tell the truth.
When I hide my wedding ring, it was so much fun. It was incredible. And when France, of course, won, you couldn't move on the Champs-Élysées. And I ended up on the back of a motorbike, a couple of the French fans, and I ended up on the back of the motorbike. I've got this photograph.
Liz Zeezou, thrill seeker galore and thrill seeker extraordinaire. Now that's Lucy Zeezou's goal. That's the one book.
That's the first one.
Yeah. Now Zeezou, anything to do with Zidane?
Of course it is.
Of course.
Yeah.
Maldini will not be happy.
No, he won't. Look, I've taken a bit from all people. I'm a big fangirl, and I love Zinedine Zidane's one of the most incredible players on the planet. I mean, he's still around, but obviously doesn't play football anymore. He's been managing. But yeah, the Zeezou is obviously his nickname, and I just felt it differently. Just to give it, a different flavour, if you like. But he was an inspiring player. So, and I loved watching, the French team, and I had that connection, obviously, reporting on the World Cup in Paris. But it was also very interesting, and we're seeing sadly what's going on in France at the moment. And when I was doing a colour story on the Parisians. Football fans in Paris. And I was opposite one of the museums, and there was a big art studio, and there were 2 big gates. And on one gate, there was a huge painting, and it had an African French footballer in a football jersey painted on the pitch. Uh-huh. And he was playing on the pitch. And on the other side, it had the same African French person walking on the street, but had a big red cross over it. And I said to the person in the studio, and I said, what does this mean? And he said, at the time, they're welcome. The Africans are welcome to play in our football team, but they're not welcome on our streets.
That's shocking.
And
shocking.
I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. And I thought, oh my gosh, this, obviously it was a big problem, and it's something that's been brewing for a very long time.
And remains.
So we're talking about 1998, George.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
There's a great documentary that's actually touched on this topic. It's called The Red, the White and the Blue. Uh-huh. And it talks about talks about all the elements of French football and the different ethnicities and backgrounds, and how their life is different as footballers compared to, if their lives was just as ordinary French citizens. It's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah. I would put it to you, if you ran that line in America, if you're an actor or you're a songwriter or you're a DJ making plenty of money, you too are also looked on kindly. But if you're the person that's coming down the street late at night and you're driving a car that doesn't look like it should be in your keeping, everybody's going to stop you and ask you serious questions. We have some serious problems in this world of ours. It's a modern world. It's got 1,000 things that's going in favour of it. But there are some ugly things that we need to address, and one of them is the one you touched on, racism. And your daughter, Isabella, who's a law and psychological science student in Sydney,
Yes.
Has written a lovely little line that is so powerful. She says, racism is a weapon of mass destruction that breaks apart countries, friendships, and families. And it comes from a place of ignorance, a lack of education and knowledge.
Yep.
And this world needs to do better. What a smart young woman you've engineered and turned out onto the world.
You.
And Bloodline, is it her project, or you and Dylan and the family's project?
Well, no. So I created the concept because I wanted to combat racism through long format, something that wasn't too confrontational for people, that would attract people from all different backgrounds, race and religion to come in and see it. So I thought photographs would be the best way to do it.
Yep.
So the exhibition is called We Bleed the Same.
That's right.
It's sponsored by Valmay Freilich and at the ANU at the Freilich Project for the Study of Bigotry. And the photographs are taken by my dear friend Tim Bauer, who's an extraordinary
Beautiful photos.
Thank you.
Is the exhibition likely to tour? Is it likely to come to Melbourne? Is it likely to come to Brisbane, Adelaide, and so on?
Yes, I'm working on that at the moment.
Keep us informed.
Yes, well, we're just finishing off in Sydney.
Okay.
And we're looking at possibly Wollongong, back to Canberra, and then we're definitely in Griffith. And I'd love to come to Melbourne, definitely, because there's a big, arts, wonderful cultural arts industry in Melbourne. So I'd love to be a part of that thing.
Liz, there's so much more in Melbourne, and I'll give you an overview.
I love Melbourne.
No.
As a Sydney-sider, I love it.
Let me just give you some insight. The Armenian community of Australia numbers the thousands in Sydney. They have a smaller community in Melbourne, right? The Greek community here in Melbourne is huge, but there's also a very big community in Sydney. The difference between the two Greek communities in two states is extraordinary. It's so different. So we have much to teach each other, to remind each other, and to show each other from our life experiences what is required and what we can help each other to do to be better. And your family, what do you nicknamed it? The United Nations. I love that.
United Nations.
I love it.
We have, because so we're Australian Lebanese, but our partners come from different backgrounds. So we've got Irish, Ghanaian, Greek, Chilean, and Chinese.
Just as you ran the word Ghanaian, Pokuah let out this beautiful smile. It was like this little candle.
It's because all Ghanaians, we're all incredible people. We're a great personality.
I'm not here to argue.
Most beautiful people.
Only small little corrections. If we can get those right, we can change
Arsenal
the world.
Fans. We're Arsenal fans.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Liz,
I think it's really about creating great understanding and really embracing all the beauty that the people from all different backgrounds, race and religion bring to our country. And that's what really it's all about. That's what our exhibition's about. It's just really breaking those barriers and misunderstandings and saying, look, these are people from all over the world. We all come from elsewhere except our First Nations people. Let's celebrate our humanness. Let's, work together and enjoy each other's culture and learn from it. Look at all the wonderful foods we get to enjoy in our country,
Liz,
because we're so mixed.
There are two teams in Australia, that represent the entire country and the entire fabric that makes up Australia, and that is the Matildas and the Socceroos.
Yes.
And I can remember Jack Riley has told me, and he said to me, Riley Rasic, think of this. Young man at the time, right? When we lost him recently, and he was to the very last day an absolute legend and a marvelous man.
Yeah.
He took a bunch of, as you touched on earlier, part-timers who had to work when they weren't training, and he took them from one end of the world to the other, and they didn't let us down. Okay, they didn't win a game, but they didn't embarrass us. And he was so proud of that team, but he was also so proud of every other team that's carried the emblem and worn
Yes.
the shirt and run onto the pitch to represent Australia. And if there's a legacy, it's Raleigh's legacy that every player has adopted and observed and understood their role of representing every nation that makes up Australia. Isn't that fabulous?
That's true.
And you're reflecting that. And with this exhibition that we bleed the same, and we can't wait to see it in Melbourne and in Brisbane and in Adelaide and in Perth. Is it likely to go to Canberra? Because I think our esteemed leaders need to see it.
Oh yes, it's definitely. Well, it was already in Canberra for close to a year at the Australian National University.
Okay.
And they've kindly actually offered me a Freilich Arts, Media and Activism Fellowship. So I'm spending quite a bit of time going back and forth to Canberra. So we are going to show it again at the Ovalonichi Hotel. I think around September. So. Well, we'll try and get some politicians along as well.
If we have people listening who experience discrimination, injustice, or have had a number of complaints, that they struggle to cope with, can they reach out to you, to Liz Deep-Jones?
Yes, they can. Look, we've actually formed an alliance with the National Justice Project and the Jambana Institute for Indigenous Education at UTS. And they've devised a platform where you can register if you've been subjected to racism, and you can report it. And it's called Call It Out. CALL and then IT and then OUT. If people can look it up, Call It Out. And also there's the Tech for Justice platform as well. But I'm happy for people to reach out to me as well, and I can direct them to the National Justice Project and Jambana Institute. Of course, I can give you my. I've got a website.
Yep.
WeBleedTheSame.net. So they can go onto the website and leave a message.
So WeBleedTheSame.net.
.net.
Great.
Yeah, that's my website. So I'd love to hear from people.
Speaking of people, Heather Garriock, who's another champion of the game and someone we love very much. Not only she played a role in women in football, but she was a player and a half, and she's fallen in love with Lucy's story.
Yes,
she
I'm
said,
very lucky.
and this is and she's now a mum. So for her, this is a double sword. Yeah, as we said, prolific on the pitch and off the pitch. And she loves the story. She says, Lucy's story is an engaging one. I love it. And Claire, of course, comes to the party and goes, Claire Hunt we're talking about. She says, it's inspiring to follow Lucy's trials and tribulations as she pursues her footballing dream with passion and with gusto.
I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to ask you.
I love it.
I want to ask you, Liz. Is there plans to how many more books can we expect in the series? How many would you like?
I'm thinking movie.
How many would you like to add to this story?
Well, I'm in the process of writing the third one, and because I love it because it's an escape from reality. So I love living. I love living.
No deep wells. Please stay away from deep wells. That's an SMS from your husband. Stay away from deep wells.
Yeah, I think he'd be pleased not to hear from me for a while.
Have you ever thought, with so much technology around us, that there is a film or there is a project that you can put the words and pictures and take it to another level? Because you and I know now, you and I, because we've been around for 100 years, me more than you, but you know from the early days of broadcasting how much our children and the generations that follow now process pictures rather than words. Yeah?
Well, yes, they do.
So I'm just thinking, do we take it even further, Miss Liz Deep-Jones?
Of course. Well, my husband has actually written a screenplay.
Oh!
So we're trying. We have a producer that's interested, but he's actually currently working on another movie at the moment. So we are in talks.
Mission Impossible Part 2, Dead Reckoning, is that right?
Imagine getting Tom Cruise. I don't know if Tom Cruise is a footballer. I don't know about
what
that.
What do you mean? He could be hang on, Liz. Think about this. Yes. He could be the father or the grandfather of a young girl dreaming to be the next champion of the world.
That's true. That's true. Maybe
Hello.
you could be the granddad, and I'll get Paolo Maldini to take the farm.
Oh,
That would be a dream.
Hey,
Nice.
hey,
George,
hey, look at Pokuah's face. Look deep into the
George,
camera.
Gorgeous.
It's just
You're
gorgeous.
going to work on it with me,
I'm
Pokuah.
excited for you, Liz. I feel like I've
Did you
seen.
hear the invitation? She
I
said
am.
work with her.
I've heard it, but you know what? I'm just saying I've seen Tom Cruise's movies recently. The man is makes some great films. So I'm just saying, Liz, if we get Tom Cruise involved in Maldini,
She's coming.
I think we've got a hit at the box office.
Yes, I think we do. Okay, let's work on it, you and I.
Okay, let's reiterate where we are. We're here with Liz Zeezou on Football Nation Radio. It's our State of Our Nation episode that we do each and every week. Pokuah and I are in the studios in Melbourne, and of course via Zoom. Thank you. We have Liz Zeezou in Sydney. We're talking about her two fabulous new books that, interestingly, on time and on budget to deliver some wonderful excitement. They are called Lucy Zeezou's Glamour Game and Lucy Zeezou's Goal. How far apart were they in actual release?
Just over a year. So they were originally released in 2008 and 10.
Right.
Nearly 2 years. And then I've re-released them for the upcoming Women's World Cup
How
for a new
fantastic.
and fresh audience.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. And you might notice that my daughter Isabella is on the cover. I had to bribe her. I had to bribe her to be on the cover. And my
Excuse
friend
me,
Giselle took photos.
if we take a line out of Pokuah's thinking, and Tom Cruise chooses to come on board because he loves the cover of the
Yes.
book,
that would be amazing.
well, what would you say to Isabella then?
Yes, that's true. Well, I think I owe her a lot.
I was going to say it's all about phrasing, isn't it?
It is definitely.
Your husband knows all about this. Can you imagine how proud he would be if Tom Cruise rings you guys up and says, listen, I've spoken to Random House. I'm in Australia, of course, for the launch
That would
of
be amazing.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Oh,
and
that would be
while we're
wonderful.
putting Part 2 together, I'm thinking Lucy Zeezou is a project that I can get involved in.
Oh, that would be amazing. And I must mention to people as well, if they're in Sydney, we are doing a launch at the Football Writers Festival.
Oh, right. Coming up next week, is it?
You know,
Yes, it's next Saturday.
Benita Merciades published my books from Fair Play Publishing and Popcorn Press. So she's organised this incredible lineup of people for 3 days at the Football Writers Festival in Walsh
Pokuah
Bay
is
in
one of them.
Sydney.
Pokuah
there.
is one of them.
I will see you
you're
there.
coming?
Oh yes, I will. I'll see you
we
there.
can't.
Liz.
You
I'll be
don't
there.
know.
Let's catch up.
Absolutely.
I've tried to handcuff. I've tried to keep it, locked down in the studio, saying you cannot go. You've got work to do. And the truth of the matter is, I can't hold her back. She's just too talented.
No, you can't.
And it's a trip of a lifetime. It's the opportunity not only to meet writers from around the world, but to
Yes.
to catch up with you, Liz.
I would love that. We
Absolutely.
definitely have to catch up.
Absolutely, Liz. I will see you there.
I think are you there because I'm on the panel on Sunday.
I'm
on
there.
the-
I'm there all day Sunday, but I'm on the panel on Monday, so I'll be
Oh,
there.
wow.
I'll be there all day Sunday and all day Monday.
Okay, let's catch up on the. Oh, sorry, we're organising this on air, but we'll catch up.
So hang on, just remind me again, what panel are you involved with on Sunday? Do you know the subject matter? Yes.
Oh yeah, mine's just about talking about my book. That's all.
Okay.
It's
A
just
further
chat
opportunity to showcase both books.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
right.
great. That's
It's
great.
the official launch of the books.
Listen, someone released a wonderful little line, and it's been used and used and used, and it's like an adage. And the reason I've said to someone this morning, I think I was talking to someone else, and I said to them, the reason why adages, these wonderful old sayings, stand the test of time and resonate is because they're true. Yeah? And someone said a long time ago, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And
That's right.
you know, in the early days, Bruce Gingell, when he set up and created this multicultural broadcaster that turned out to be SBS, until people saw it, they had no idea they could be involved.
Yeah, that's true.
And once we showed them with that wonderful, generational change in late 1979, late 1980, when we gave them this little portal, this window to the world, suddenly people started going, wow. And I can remember Bruce Gingell, when he was interviewed very early on, before we had actually established ourselves as SBS, we were in the throes of becoming the IMBC, the Independent Multicultural Broadcasting Corporation. And someone said to him, so, why are you promoting soccer? He says, because it's the world game, and we feel that that's our staple that we're going to open and showcase to the world, and it's going to be part of SBS forever. I'm so disappointed that they didn't go back to those early days and review those initial statements, because it's like in the early days of the ABC, it covered the cricket, it covered the football, it covered all the major sports. And I think it was all reasonable and fair that the national broadcaster would do that. And they've all forgotten, all of them, SBS and the ABC. And both broadcasters, I think, are suffering because of it. They're doing great things in other areas, and it's not all negativity, but in some areas, I still feel that they dropped the ball. Pardon the expression, dropped the ball.
Yeah. They dropped the ball. Yeah,
they dropped the ball. When you think where you guys were in France, right?
Amazing.
98. Remember the team? Remember all the little vignettes you used to produce? And you'd have to go in months ahead of time to create and produce. Yeah. They were wonderful because you told a story.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was an incredible time. I think, unfortunately, as you know, the media landscape has changed so much. I mean, we were in that fortunate position, which we go back and say the good old days of SBS and what it represented and who we represented. Yeah. And I think, it's just, I think it's just gone into a different direction, and it is unfortunate that we lost the football rights. But now they're on other networks, and they have a broad reach, I suppose. Sure. On, Channel 10 and so forth. But it isn't the same, and it never will be. But we just have to move with the times, I suppose. And I think, look, I'm really excited for the Matildas. They're going to have national coverage, international coverage, and it's really going to put, the team's already made a name for itself internationally, but I think it'll, football in Australia and for women and girls and boys is the number one sport, if not already. It will become the number one sport. And I think that, the Women's World Cup will definitely, be a massive game changer for women's sport in general, really.
I'm glad you said boys, young boys, because Pokuah and I have touched on this before. Louise Taffer, who was one of our original broadcast team here at FNR, we used to go to the Matildas games 7 years ago, right together. And I used to go, one, to support her and help her carry herself to the next phase of her career, but also we would go back into the press area and talk to the coaches after the game and talk to some of the players as well. And we remarked from day one, the first outing, especially it was I think it was in Melbourne at Amy Park, as it was in those days, and we looked at one another and went, have a look at the young boys all wearing Matilda's shirts, names, and this, that, the other. This was then, and it's continued. And now we've got Sam Kerr, who's a brand in her own right. Yeah,
oh, she's phenomenal.
What she's doing at Chelsea, what she's managed to achieve with all those sporting contracts now, she in her own right is a business, a brand. Now, the next phase is to deliver and be that spearhead of a young team and a team with some older heads. Kaya Simon, and the one that fascinates me, and the one that really makes me smile. Her name is Mary Fowler.
Oh, she's incredible, isn't she?
From the time that Alan Sturgis picked her as a 15-year-old, I think 15, 16-year-old, was she?
Yes.
She has come along and showcases this wonderful poise on the ball, and you give her a millisecond and she somehow has that wonderful peripheral vision and goes, I'm going to hit it here. And with that lovely touch, she can almost pinpoint it to whatever target. Now, that is a weapon. That is a weapon.
She is a weapon. It'll be interesting to see how she performs. I mean, she's a crucial player there, with her creativity. And Karina Gorry.
Yep. She's an engine.
She's a gun. She's incredible.
And did we mention Mum? So she can do it all. Mum.
Yeah.
Dynamo in midfield and fearless fighter.
Definitely. Yes, she is. And I think that's the appeal of the Matildas as well. I mean, people from all different backgrounds connect and relate to the Matildas. They're so inclusive. And I think, and especially Sam Kerr is such a great leader and very eloquent, and I think that, she's made a big difference, and especially for, the head coach, Tony Gustafsson.
It's a Swedish name. We know these Lebanese Australian girls struggle with those names.
I was just going to say, I think you touched on a really important point, Liz, about, the young boys and the young girls, because I think that the key when we talk about the progression of football in this country, I think the women's football actually holds the key, because if you're able to draw more people to women's football, they will inherently also support men's football a lot more as well in this country. So I think if we are able to build a better base level for the support that the A-League women's games are getting and things like that, and that all starts with the Matildas doing well, because it will trickle down hopefully to people showing up to our local competitions as well. We will see more people go to the A-League men's games as well, and football in this country as a whole will do substantially better.
Every generation over the last half a dozen years, over the last decade, I've watched the football just get better. And, of course, it's the world game. We have access now, unlike us in the early days, Liz. We have now devices, and you can have it on demand, so you can watch your Zeezou, and you can even go into the library of the world and pick whatever you want. Right. So if you want to see how to do this magic step over, you don't have to wait to see them in person. You can go to the video and just play it ad infinitum until you get it right. So that's the other thing. No, I watch professional sportsmen and women now. I'm a Major League Baseball Yankee. So I watch these guys play, and no sooner have they hit the ball or been struck out, they'll go back to the dugout, they'll grab their iPad, and they'll review what they did right and what they did wrong.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm saying is we have all this new technology now that's being accessed and used in a completely different fashion. And you add to that these gorgeous books that you're making available, namely Goal and the Glamour Game. For those of you who are wondering who the gorgeous young woman is at the front, the Amazon, her name is Isabella. She belongs to the Deep family. And you need to speak to her father and to her brother before you approach her, or there'll be problems, all right?
That's true. You're right, actually.
There you go.
She just turned 21, so she's still very young. But,
I always provide a disclaimer, Liz.
Look, I'm lucky that she's interested also in my work, especially, when I drag her around, when we're putting the show together, with, traveling with the exhibition. I mean, she really is on board with, obviously, combating racism and fighting for, a fairer and more equal society. And I think with the exhibition also with the Women's World Cup, with football, I mean, everything's relatable. I mean, it's life and football on and off the pitch. And that's what I love about football, because it does break barriers. People from all backgrounds, race and religion, play. Once you're on the pitch, it's an equal level playing field. And as you both know, look, I've done stories in Argentina, some football stories where there's so much poverty. Kids there are playing with little plastic and wrapping cloth around a plastic newspaper, and kicking that around because they can't afford a football, but they're still able to play, and they're incredibly talented, and as you know, a lot of the top footballers in the world have come from, that extreme, poverty, like Maradona. I actually I met Maradona in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. He used to host a TV show called La Noche del 10, the night of the number 10. Yeah, and it was so funny, George. I mean, he would just rock up. It was a 2-hour live program. He would just rock up and just, I don't know how he hosted it, but said whatever he basically wanted. I mean, he had
Liz, when you're God in Argentina, you can do, and as he did, anything he wanted. Yes. And they'd all look.
It's phenomenal. I've never seen someone like that in my life treated revered in the manner that he was revered. Yeah,
godlike.
It was just phenomenal seeing it. And it was also, we were there for I think it was his 50th birthday, and the program finished. It was 2 hours. It finished at about 11 o'clock at night, and it was his 50th, and they organised a helicopter, flew him to Boca Stadium. La Boca, his old club.
Yep.
And the first team were there waiting for him, and the stadium was packed.
Yeah.
At just after 11 o'clock at night to celebrate his birthday.
Well, remember that line we used to run out only in America, but you can now say only in Argentina.
In Argentina, that's right. Yeah, it was amazing. I have to say that was an amazing experience.
Well,
he's Sorry.
Go on. You were saying?
No, I was just going to say I don't know if you remember Guy Coechea,
the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper. So
That's right.
co-hosted the show with Maradona. And I mean, this is even with Maradona, when he was hosting the show, he had this beautiful jacket on, and his face was printed all over the jacket. The seat, he had white leather seats for his guests, and his face was on the seat. White leather seat.
Well, all I can tell you is Guy Coechea was the goalkeeper for Argentina. He was the supreme penalty saver. And the only penalty I think he ever missed of substance was the one that cost Argentina the World Cup in 1990 in Rome.
Oh, wow.
And it was after a young guy called Jürgen Klinsmann dived to get a free kick.
Oh my God!
Big emphasis on dive there for you, George.
Dived. Made me ill. I was in the ground at the Stadio Olimpico with a guy called Nick Theodorakopoulos that you'd remember, Nick Theodorakopoulos.
Yes, I do remember.
Who coached Wollongong and of course Parramatta, and played for Sydney Olympic. And he was a travel boy, and still is, I think, with his family. And he rang me a couple of days before the World Cup final. He said, "Listen, can you get me a ticket?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in Rome. I can get you a ticket if you want, but you've got to be here." And, of course, he rocks up on the morning of the World Cup in Rome.
Amazing.
And we spent the entire day eating, drinking, talking football, watching the game, and then reviewing the game afterwards. And then I made sure he got back on the plane and flew on to Australia. So what a time.
Fantastic.
But Maradona was in a position to do something extraordinary and almost did.
Yes.
They just ran out of legs. Yeah,
that's
Liz,
a shame, but
Liz, can you believe we've run through almost an hour of streaming time on FNR? And it's been the Liz Deep Show.
Got like 5 minutes. It was so good.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you also for being the fantastically passionate young woman you are, and the creator of Lucy Zeezou. She's a great character. 2 great books out there, and you'll have to get your own copies. And maybe, actually, no. I will pass these on to you,
George. That's too kind.
Now, if you can take them with you. Then Liz will personally sign them for you.
No, I'll give you your own books. Don't worry. When I see you on Sunday.
All right. Well, we tried.
Exactly.
Liz, have a Fabulous next month with the World Cup and with the Writers' Festival. And once again, when you're bringing the exhibitions down under, let us know so we can tell the world about
I will.
some of the fabulous work that you've been doing behind the scenes
Thank you.
for a host of different projects. The exhibition is called We Bleed the Same, and it's an exhibition that explores racism and diversity. Lord knows we need to know a lot more about it, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you.
George. We're making a difference. We're doing our best.
And let's not stop doing it. Regards to your husband, regards to Dylan and to Miss Isabella. And by the way, I think I've got an SMS. It's Tom Cruise. Can I get an email for Liz Deep Jones?
George, you're going to give me a heart attack.
Okay. We're time for us to leave, but we want to thank you, Liz, before we go.
Thank you.
And thank
Sending
you,
much
Pokuah.
love.
Thank you, George.
Great honour. Thank you, Pokuah.
Our pleasure. See you guys.
And Pokuah, see you on Sunday.
You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR.